Hi, my name is Nathalie Ribeiro. I'm from Team Checkmat and I am a black belt under Lucas Leite. I'm gonna compete against Ffion. She's very good, so it's gonna be very excited because my opponent, she's good at everything as well, so it's gonna be some nice match.
Oh, I'm really excited and it's so cool to fight for the title. I know that Nathalie is a really strong opponent.
I will try my best. I will try to work from everywhere, from the bottom, from the top. Of course, submissions, that's the main thing.
If I win the title, there's so many girls to fight in this division and the division above, so I'm also interested in maybe being a double champ. Who knows? I have to get past this first.
It means a lot. I'm very happy with the opportunity. I want to earn it, so I hope I can do a big show for everybody that is watching.
Hi Nathalie, let's put on a show.
Let's see what's gonna be.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now set for the next match of the evening for the Who's Number One Women's Flyweight Championship for a 15-minute time limit. Introducing first out of the blue corner, representing Checkmat Jiu-Jitsu, La Habra, California. She is a two-time no-gi world champion. Here is Nathalie Tata Ribeiro.
Extremely accomplished, very skillful, but always to be found with a big smile on her face. That is, until the match begins. Because Nathalie Ribeiro of Checkmat, a fierce competitor, very technical, and man, when she gets going, she does not stop.
Oh, instant fireworks every single match. Number 2 ranked 135-pound grappler going down to flyweight, challenging Ffion for the title. Couldn't be more excited for this matchup. High expectations for both athletes here.
And now introducing her opponent out of the red corner, representing East Coast Jiu-Jitsu, Dublin, Ireland. She is a two-time no-gi world champion and a silver medal winner at the 2019 ADCC World Championships. Please welcome Ffion Davies.
From all the way in Wales, in the UK, competing and training out of Dublin, Ireland, finally makes it here to Austin, Texas to compete on Who's Number One. Extremely anticipated debut. We mentioned it earlier in our pre-show analysis, chase that. Ffion was one of the names most requested by fans for us to invite here to Who's Number One, and with good reason, because well, she's a scrapper, but the tail of the tape here, you can see almost identical, just 1 inch height difference between the two. The number 3 versus the number 2 ranked. And the winner of this will take the title. Rallies. Fight! With the red ankle band, Ffion Davies. With the blue, sitting through the guard immediately is Nathalie Ribeiro of Checkmat. And Kendall, this is one of those matches where I know you know both of these competitors extremely well. I would love to hear your take on what we can expect technically and tactically.
We can definitely expect a lot of heavy pressure from Ffion, but she is on the bottom now, which we don't see her play guard too much, and we also, you know, inversely don't see Tata on top too much, but we do see Tata flying to the mount sometimes, and we do see Ffion with some, you know, some leg lock entry, so neither is uncomfortable here, even though it's not their preferred position. But I think we're going to see Ffion probably start to come up to the top and employ a lot of her heavy pressure. She has a judo background, really great on her feet, and Tata obviously respects that, sits back down to the guard. But Ffion's known for a lot of heavy pressure. She gets to the mount, she gets to the back, and she just suffocates people. Tata's known for a lot of, you know, crazy flying movement into leg locks, into the back, you know, very beautiful guard, and a big mat return here by Ffion. All you need to know about Ffion is she comes out to Taylor Swift, and I think any athlete who comes out to Taylor Swift is someone I want to watch. We connect on that for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned the pressure there, and Ffion, once she got on top, relentless, saying, Tata, you must stay with your back on the mat here. I want to see if Ffion wants to drop on her leg. She looked at it earlier briefly. She did. And I'm curious if that's going to come out again here in this matchup. Definitely would be great to see some new tricks from her, and it fits right into what we want to see here at WNO. Now,
I'll be honest, I don't particularly remember Ffion attacking for too many leg locks. She's got that amazing straight arm bar and a deadly knee cut, and very much prefers to power through the guard in search of that submission. She credits a lot of that to her, well, a lot of her aggression in general on the mat, to her background, her foundation in judo. But don't forget as well that she didn't go straight. Here we see an entry for a judo. You can see that underhook. Kendall, there's some wrestling here. What do you think?
These beautiful attacks by Ffion. Beautiful counter wrestling by Tata. I'm actually really, really surprised to see Tata standing and playing with these takedowns. Ffion has beautiful judo, but Tata has a lot of wrestling that we don't normally get to see.
Great point.
And she wrestles up a lot from the guard too, so we know that the wrestling is there, but this is such a treat. We normally don't get to see this, especially with two high-level competitors like this. This is really exciting. This is kind of no man's land. We haven't seen this before.
Again, looking for that stand-up. The entry is Ffion Davies. However, Nathalie Ribeiro, great counter wrestling, hand fighting in shutting down any of those big throws that Davies was looking for. Now, Davies had a judo background, but she did not go straight from judo into jiu-jitsu. She actually went via MMA, and believe it or not, had amateur MMA fights before she made her choice to fully pursue jiu-jitsu as her professional athletic career.
And what we're looking at strategy-wise is Ffion is doing a really great job at attacking the upper body to open the lower body. So she's off-balancing the upper body so that she's able to go in on different leg trips or maybe a double leg. But Tata answering with some shots of her own and a big heavy sprawl here to Fion's head.
Well, there was a reshot from Davies, but as they come up into and they go out of bounds. I mean, we give them about as big a mat as we can find, and they still find a way to push each other off the edges. This is how hard they're fighting here.
Yeah, Kendall, you mentioned that you were impressed with Tata's wrestling, and I have to say the same thing. It's really something that we don't see from her a lot, and she's standing up to the pressure of Ffion and firing back as well. And one thing that, you know, when we criticize a stand-up battle, it's because there's not intention or commitment. We're seeing both these athletes really commit to these shots and counter. You know, it's a dynamic bout so far, even though a lot of it's been fought so far on the feet.
Well, I think also that they are both aware that the criteria, the judges here, who's number one, do count effective wrestling and counter wrestling. Takedowns, throws, trips, and counter wrestling and winning the scrambles, they all matter here. And there we finally see Ffion Davies hit that double leg, but straight back up to her feet is Nathalie Ribeiro.
Relentless. That's the only word that comes to mind. Absolutely. Ffion almost fell on her face chasing that double leg right now. Like, she was not going to stop until they were off the mat, until the referee said to stop.
We're not even 4 minutes into this match so far, and so far this is very much what we expected to see. It's a lot of aggression, and I've barely seen a back step taken here from either competitor. It does feel to me, though, I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Do you feel that Nathalie is a little more playing the counter game a touch more rather than go forward as hard as Ffion?
I mean, she's answering powerfully, but I'd have to agree with that. But I want to say that last attempt from Ffion was a little bit more significant than anything we've seen from Tata so far. But again, such close margins at this point. It's, you know, right there. It's very narrow.
I think that's very smart, though, because Ffion has really, really heavy hips. Like, her legs are very strong. It's hard to get in on shots underneath her, and her awareness of her body because of her takedown background is really, really hard to get on shots. But when you can open up on a counter, when someone's off balancing or they're already committed to one direction, you can go the other way, then you're really able to take advantage of that and be a little bit faster. And Tata's very, very fast.
Yeah, and that speed is a huge factor when it comes to defending those takedowns. The harder that Davies comes forward, Tata is able to respond accordingly.
One thing we are seeing here that worries me a tiny bit is I think Tata's starting to get a little bit tired, and she's standing straight up, which will allow some things to open up here. Coming in on 10 minutes, we're going to see where the judges are favoring here.
Judges favor Ffion Davies.
Interesting. I think the wrestling is definitely the factor here, and it's not just the work rate, not just that one double leg that managed to briefly put Ribeiro down, but it is very much about who's running the show here, right? The judges are looking at who's going forward and who's making their opponent act and react. And yes, counterfighting is a legitimate strategy here at Who's Number One. We don't want to dissuade any of our athletes from having a good counterfighting game. But when things are as close as they are, and there we see another double leg entry, but ooh, looked like maybe it was
Tata had a good look at the neck for a second there, just a second.
Don't leave that neck hanging out with her.
But like you said, the counter fighter, when all other things equal, well, they fire second and usually end up placing second, of course. So I think after the first 5 minutes have gone off, and maybe time to make some adjustments here. Maybe Tata might think about pulling guard at some point soon here, just because, you know, she's not quite getting the looks I think that she might have seen the first 2 minutes now. Fion's made adjustments too.
We're 6 minutes into this match, and you can hear Lucas Leitch, the Czech mat coach and Nathalie Ribeiro's partner, kind of getting a little bit more animated and clapping his hands, and I think urging Ribeiro on for a little bit more action now as well, because he probably is very aware, of course, down the judges favoring Davies up until this point. He wants to see Ribeiro do something significant also, right?
Well, what we're getting in danger of here is what I said a second ago. Ffion is seeing Tata stand straight up, and I'm noticing, you know, there's a couple steps happening. As soon as Tata stands up, Fion's in on that body lock clinch. But at the same time, because of the guillotine attack from Ribeiro, there's a little bit of more respect. She's not shooting all the way down to her knees. Big, almost a dump finish to the back here with the back clinch. And beautiful recovery by Tata Ribeiro. Wow.
Amazing recovery, back up to her feet. Man, you cannot hold this woman down. Nathalie Ribeiro's defense to the hustle of Ffion Davies so far has been nothing less than incredible.
I will mention, too, in a 15-minute match and 2 athletes who did a hard weight cut, it's interesting to think about where the cardio is at here, who's starting to feel that a little bit more. It does make a difference when it comes down to matches, especially this length, on the feet, at this pace, for a long period of time. It is not easy to keep going at 100%. So
well, how many people are out there training 15-minute rounds in the gym, Kendall? I mean, you competed at Who's Number One. How did you prepare for something like that?
It's very difficult. It's very different than normal, and what you have to do is, in my experience, is I was Shark Tanked for 15 minutes. I've had new people come in every 2 minutes on me for 16 minutes at a time. And so then when you go in the round with someone who's getting tired with you, it's a lot bigger of a relief than fresh partners every 2 minutes. But, you know, that's a difficult thing to do every day of the week, right? So most people don't. And then you add in weight cuts, and now you're talking about, you know, your body has to really adjust to some extreme measures.
I imagine those Shark Tank rounds were also not 15-minute wrestling rounds. That's probably fairly unusual to do as well.
Well, I did have to do some of them. I got to tell you what. I did do some of them, but not all the time. Yeah, it's not easy. And I would expect that neither of these athletes prepared for that, because I don't think anyone expected this.
Now we see Davies on the neck and getting the cradle, or attempted to, picks up the single. Now finally gets Ribeiro down, and this time Ribeiro is in guard. She is not immediately back up. And now this is an opportunity for Davies to not only advance her position, but to... This means a lot to the judges now. They've seen the takedown attempts, they've seen the hustle, they've seen the work rate. Now they've seen it actually score, let's say. They've seen it score a better position, an attacking position.
Yeah, that was a significant moment for our judges here in favor of Ffion, as it was the most significant action of this match, with not a ton of time remaining. Plenty for things to transpire, but Ffion already not resting on her laurels, really pushing hard for this pass.
Testing that flexibility.
Tata has such an interesting guard, though, where she literally bends in half. You can pass her guard, and then somehow her foot's back inside again. It's maddening. And I think, you know, Ffion, at the rate that we've been working, you know, about how many minutes? 14 minutes into this fight. Or, I'm sorry, 14 minutes. How many minutes? 11 minutes. Yeah, 11 minutes. I can math. Yeah. Too distracted by the fight. 11 minutes into a fight like this.
You guys should not do any math.
Okay, it's 9 minutes. It's 9 minutes. There we go. There we go.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, it's hard when it's counting down. I'm terrible at this.
So backwards math. Okay, 9 minutes with the pace that we've been at. The pace that you have to pass Ribeiro's guard.
Man, look at that recovery, though. Look at the way that Ribeiro's able to just spring back up to her feet from the little roll like that. That is incredible. You mentioned the speed there, Kendall, and that is a perfect example. So now we're back on the feet. Now, will we see Ribeiro try to get Davies down on the ground?
I am surprised that Tata's not electing to pull, because that is her preferred position. But she probably, you know, smelled a little blood in the water, being able to almost get some of those counter wrestling going, or the guillotines going, to the point where she feels comfortable enough to stand here.
Heavy collar ties. And I think it's important to note here as well, though, Kendall, you have a very extensive background in the more traditional wrestling scene, and we have many members of our FloGrappling team here watching from the sidelines here at Who's Number One. No surprise that Davies is getting the second judge's favor call, but it is important to note that this is wrestling adapted for submission fighting, because wrestling, when submissions are permitted, is not the same as traditional wrestling, shall we say.
Oh, it changes everything. The way that you can get guillotine, the way that you can get reverse triangle, the way that you can get kimura, everything changes when you come into jiu-jitsu. So that's why, you know, it is not very it's traditional wrestling adapted, just like you said. And a lot of judo in there as well, and a big counter from Tata, but back up to her feet.
You can see fatigue setting in here for both athletes, getting a little tired. Shots not looking quite as crisp as they were earlier. but I mean, that's kind of the openings that one of these athletes can really take advantage of. So
Davies has looked at the clock twice in the last few seconds as well. She's keeping a close eye on that, and she's probably well aware that as we come, there's 4 minutes remaining in this match. There's still plenty of time left to go. She's going to have to pace herself, I feel.
Well, two bad things can happen when you know who's ahead, right? The person who's behind might crack under the pressure. You start to feel like, oh my God, I really got to catch up. I'm losing, I'm behind. Can I make up in this 5 minutes what I lost in the first 10? But the person ahead at the same time can get a little bit lazy and start to, I wouldn't even say lazy, I would just say dependent or reliant on their previous, accomplishments in the fight, and just hope that that's enough and try to survive when really attacking is what got them to that point.
Huge aggressive collar tie there from Davies. Took off the hairband from Ribeiro, who will get a little time out here to adjust things.
So as it stands, Tata has a pretty significant deficit to make up here in this last less than 4 minutes. What do you think she needs to do to change things up? I was surprised, like Kendall said, that she stood up to wrestle again. But she's kind of in a rock and a hard place, as Ffion does not seem to want to sit the guard.
Yeah, I don't know. At this moment, she doesn't seem able to get any solid submission attacks from the bottom. She might be able to suck up a leg here, though, but Davies is keeping her feet and her ankles out of danger. Because right now, even when she's playing this guard position, I feel that Ribeiro, she isn't finding any entries to even, no openings. There's no arms available, there's no legs, everything's so tight and protected. And I definitely feel like the counter wrestling might be her best chance at kind of catching anything. But so far, the work rate has been putting her on the back foot so much, simply the opportunity hasn't presented itself.
I do think the work rate is the answer, because when Ffion's playing on top, she's going so hard in the pass, she's not hanging out. But now we see a little bit of a leg exchange, and this might be better for Ribeiro. I think Ribeiro's going to feel quite comfortable here, or even use it to come on top. And if she does come on top, I think she's going to be in a much better spot.
I hear much more urgency in the voice of her coach, Lucas Leitch, as well. But there's an inside heel hook attempt there from Davies, a little low, and you can see that Ribeiro is quite easily able to bring her leg out of danger. But if we zoom out, we might have to get a little better action, a better view of the action, a little bit tight to see exactly the details there. But back up to their feet, this is definitely the theme of this match. I didn't expect this match to play out in the standing phase as much as it did.
No, definitely not. And I think it shows that Tata really considers, if she gets on top, a serious advantage, but she just can't seem to find herself there. Ffion's been positionally very sound throughout, won the wrestling exchanges, and when things hit the ground, looked very good on top, very solid on top, let's say. So Tata's really got to pull something out here in these last 2 minutes to change the course of the outcome.
And I feel like that the wrestling entries that Ribeiro is looking for, that she's just getting shut down on the outside by the hand fighting, that she doesn't really have the entry. And now we see, for the first time, we see Davies pulling guard and working from this open guard position. So this is a big opportunity for Ribeiro, and she would be wise to make the most of it.
Well, this is what she's been looking for. She's been wanting to pass this entire match, and she's, Ffion gave it to her, which is, I thought, a little bit surprising considering the insistence we saw from Tata. But maybe Ffion has a trick up her sleeve. Obviously, no slouch off her back either. Kendall, what do you make of this last exchange here as we go into the final minute?
I think Ffion looks really confident. I think she looks really, really confident on bottom, and Tata has great pressure, but sometimes when you have the pressure of needing to catch up, you can't do your best work, and you start to kind of close up instead of have an open game, which you need to execute your best work. Whereas Ffion doesn't have that pressure, and so she's able to kind of flow through the positions and set the pace, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. Attacking the arm a little bit here is Ffion on the plata, back to the De La Riva position in the open guard, and looking very confident in this last 45 seconds of the fight.
A little loose on the arm lock, but I think that's what happens. More a case of Ribeiro just being out of position slightly rather than a legit submission attack. But that is a De La Riva footlock right there, and that is a legitimate submission attack. And even some twist on the ankle as well. We could see a late submission attack here. Oh, look at this. Davies has that locked in with a solid 30 seconds remaining.
We have Tata answering, trying to go for a toe hold here in the last second, I believe. Can't see the grip yet, toe hold grip right here, but not really getting any traction.
She needs a solid control of the leg or the hips to be able to really get the pressure off that foot.
A bit there.
Last final 10 seconds.
Again on the De La Riva footlock there, that she's got the hand on the hip. Can she get the pressure? Ribeiro manages to turn her knee and takes the pressure off. You can see a little, there is the end of the match, a little extension on the foot, but nothing to create a huge reaction. Well, I think that final exchange aside, the flurry of submission attacks there in the last 90 seconds, I think that this could be pretty clear. But let's make it official. Let's see what the judges have to say. It is unanimous red. Ffion Davies takes this one by decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner by unanimous decision and new Who's Number One Women's Flyweight Champion, Ffion Davies!
Ffion Davies takes the title after a very hard-fought 15 minutes against Nathalie Ribeiro. And I am going to make a point of asking her what her game plan was in that match, because I'm not sure that that was the match that either of those women was expecting.
Yeah, but it delivered all the same, right? A really intriguing match, but throughout the wrestling exchanges, kicked things off with a furious pace in the beginning, a little bit of a middle ground where they were feeling each other out. But then in the end, we saw the table switch, where Tata ended up on top, and we saw some exchanges from that position. So overall, really great showing from Ffion. Saw a little bit of a new game from her, or stuff we haven't seen in a while, rather. And I'm sure she's very happy with that belt. Meet our new WO champion.
Yeah, she seems happy to stay in the center of the mat, soaking up the limelight there. Well, let's take a look at some of the most significant moments of this match. We see the stand-up wrestling was definitely a big factor. A lot of wrestling and counter wrestling. And you can see here, we're just watching the final moments of this match now, and we can see the stand-up wrestling was a huge factor. This was one of the most significant of which, that catching the cradle from the headlock, and that was what put the action down to the mat for the longest extended period of time. The winner, Ffion Davies. We'll be right back after this short break to hear from our winner.
Presented by Defense Soap, now the official soap and body wipe of FloGrappling, protecting you for over 15 years. Defend what you have built.
The sport of jiu-jitsu provides so many with a bigger purpose. Jiu-jitsu becomes a part of you. You're faced with so many challenges in the sport, but skin infections shouldn't have to be one of them. And that's our mission. Defense Soap was created out of the need to fight back, because we care about this sport, the families, the athletes, the coaches. And we want to continue to protect people from skin infections, to keep you on the mat. And that's our goal here at Defense Soap, to defend what you have built.
Ffion Davies, congratulations. The new title holder here at Who's Number One, taking home the 125-pound title belt. Now, first thing I got to ask you is, I'm pretty sure you would have had a game plan coming in for your opponent, Nathalie Ribeiro, but I want to know, did it play out as you expected here tonight?
No, I wasn't really expecting her to stay standing. She seemed pretty adamant to keep going standing, which I was surprised at, and she does have like good counter wrestling. But I did have in mind that I had to be good on top, I had to be ready to play bottom, because I was thinking if I was stuck on my feet, that I would try and switch it up to guard, so it's not like we were walking into each other the whole match. I'm so sorry.
No, you shouldn't be sorry. I mean, that was a hard-fought match, because everything that you went after Nathalie, everything that you threw at her, she had an answer for. But what was it that enabled you to get the match to the mat? It just seemed, I don't know, perseverance, hard work, force of will. What was it?
I was a little hesitant with shooting on the leg so much, because I've got a lot to work on in regards to like guillotine defense and things like that. So I was a little bit nervous in regards to shooting too much. I wanted to work more my upper body wrestling, like in the clinches and stuff. But I wish I had more confidence to shoot, because when I did, I was able to get good attacks off of it. But yeah, something to work on.
Now, Ffion, I think that you're probably one of the biggest fan favorites here at Who's Number One. The fans have been asking us to get you here for the longest time. You finally were able to enter the United States, come here to Austin, Texas to compete. Tell us, how was the experience for you?
I'm so happy to be here. Like, I was obviously nervous to fight, but I was just so excited to find, like, I've been visualizing this show, actually, which sounds really creepy and weird, but because I've been stuck in Ireland for so long, where it's, like, really strict, and I couldn't, like, compete, really. And I did Nogi Worlds a few weeks ago, and I was so nervous, but for this, because it's a show, I love this format. It really, like, you know, we had to push the pace when things got slow. The referee was on us straight away, and I really enjoyed that. I like that it's, like, who's got better jiu-jitsu is the person that wins. So, yeah, I was just so happy to be here, to be honest.
Are you happy with the performance?
No. But I'm never am. If I don't get a submission, I'm never happy. Sometimes even if I get a submission, I'm not too happy. But no, I really wanted to get finished, but she's really good, so it is hard. But I felt like I was attacking the whole time, as much as I could.
You must be happy with that nice little shiny title belt you got there, though. Show us that.
I'm so happy. I love it. I don't know how I'm going to take it home, though. But I'm like, oh, can't
we'll cover the excess baggage charge. Don't worry about it. Ffion, I want to know what's next for you, because now you've got the title here, Who's Number One. You were ranked in the top 3 of the division. This is probably going to place you right up there now, that champion mark next to your name. What is next for Ffion Davies?
I think the obvious next person for this, I would say, is Bianca Basilio. Obviously, I respectfully would love to fight her. She's beaten, like, I got toe hold at the end there. I don't have any ligaments left, thanks to Bianca, in my feet. So I'd love to fight her again for this. She's obviously, in my head, number 1 at this spot in this division. Yes, I've got the belt, but I've got to defend the belt, and I'd love to fight her respectfully.
Well, we would love to see it here, Who's Number One. I'm sure the fans would love to see it, but man, Ffion, incredible performance here tonight, Who's Number One. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Coming up next, another title match, our final title match of this evening. Pia Mesquita going up against Luisa Montero. We'll be right back after this.
Pia Mesquita versus Luisa Montero for the 135-pound belt. Man, it doesn't get any better than that.
When you think of women's jiu-jitsu, you think of Pia Mesquita. She's the lady goat. She's won everything. IBJJF Worlds, Nogi Worlds, Brasileiros, European Championships, EBI. The only thing missing from her array of titles is the WNO strap.
Very fitting that we invite one of the most winningest female grapplers in the world to